Mark Firehammer, how are you?
I'm good, Rich. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. I appreciate you coming on today and sharing your story with the audience.
Sure, sure.
Looking forward to this conversation. The One of the things I'd like to do before we jump into it is let me give the audience a brief introduction here for you,
Okay.
so that they kind of get a feel for some of what you do and who you are. You are an author of The Echo and the Voice, an epic tale exploring creative identity, inner voice, and personal transformation under the pen name J.W. Kindbloom. You're a prolific songwriter and musician with a catalog of singles, remasters, and music videos under your name, where you blend artistry with technology, integrating AI in music production and exploring AI twins, which is reference to artists' imagined themes. You're a thought leader and content creator, published essays and articles on creativity, the artistic journey, and the intersection of art and purpose. You're also the director of Creative Humanity Alliance, a nonprofit dedicated to reconnecting people through creative expression. And the Alliance brings together artists, educators, and everyday makers to restore that connection. That sounds like a tremendous program and mission.
I love hearing someone else say it, Rich,
Cool.
right?
Cool.
I mean, you can probably relate to that as an
Oh,
artistic
yeah.
fellow as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't have the wherewithal to give ourselves the accolades of the things that we've done, and then having somebody else highlight that for us a lot of times.
Yeah, yeah, and even a comfort level. I'm a people wouldn't guess it, but I'm actually an introvert.
Same.
And but yeah, so getting up there and saying this is who I am is hard. So I appreciate what you just did.
No, absolutely. I'm the same way. To be honest, I would have, if you, we could have bet on this 3 years ago, and I could have guaranteed you there would be no way in the world that I would be doing a podcast at that point in time. So for me to even step into this as a fellow introvert is definitely something. So,
But that's cool. I'm glad you shared that because it tells me something really big about you, and
mhm.
which is something I believe about creative people and how we're different than those that aren't as creative or don't realize their creativity. Is
Yeah.
that something happened in the world that
Mhm.
made you say, I'm going to reach beyond my comfort level, and because I want to do this, I'm drawn to doing this thing, and now it's a
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that.
yeah.
Again, that validation from the other side is always a bonus. So as I mentioned prior to us hitting the record button, I don't have a whole lot of structure to this other than my first initial question, and that's going to take us all the way back in time to where were you born
Mhm.
and what was life like as a kid for Mark?
That's the question.
That's the question.
Okay. I was born in Leominster, Mass.
All right.
And I don't know if you know anything about the area, but it's one of those areas in the Northeast that was booming before the Second World War.
Okay.
It's a paper town, and my dad worked for Fitchburg Paper Company. But it was like so many American towns that were based upon a single industry and a single employer. It changed dramatically, and I left there in 1969. I was only 7 years old.
Okay.
So even though I was born there and I kind of relate to the origin of the New England thing, I feel
Yeah.
more like a not a citizen of anywhere.
Okay.
My parents were Midwesterners. They were in Massachusetts when they had me. I'm the youngest of three, and you wanted to know what life was like for me as a child, so I'm going to get right
Yeah.
into that. My father, God rest his soul, he wasn't a bad man. He was just a broken, damaged man in a lot of ways.
Mm,
He was in the Second World War. He was a fighter pilot. Didn't tell any stories. I'm sure, his actions led to the death of people.
yeah.
And he was affected by that. He didn't have a good relationship with his own father, who was also a tyrant.
Okay.
And so the pattern that I saw, even as a 5 and 6 year old, was that I believe I chose this family to be around this tyrant.
Gotcha.
I needed the resistance. I needed the attempt at controlling me. And I'm not a woo-woo, new agey person. I'm very practical,
Yeah.
but I describe so it gives me support of who I think I am. It allows me to
Yes.
move forward. Is I believe the reason why I knew that and the reason why I chose that family is it wasn't my first life. Right? I choose to believe that my soul has been around and round and round. And in this trip, I came in knowing exactly who I was, what I needed, and somehow what I was going to do. And here I am at 63. I just had a birthday on Sunday.
Oh,
Um,
happy birthday.
yeah, so there's this thread for me of seeking that resistance and seeking suppression and oppression in the
Yes.
immediate. For me as a 5-year old, it was a bit of a prison, but
Mhm.
my friends who I still talk to today say, when we were around you as a child, we were afraid for you
Wow.
because everybody was afraid of my dad.
Gotcha.
Like I said, he wasn't a bad man, but he was, corporal punishment was a thing. He
Hmm.
was born in 62, so they weren't afraid to hit the kids.
Right.
And sure, there was some bruises along the way and a bloody nose here and there, but it wasn't like the drunken dad beating his son. That's not what it was. I
Yeah.
usually did something that asked for it,
Hmm.
but as a kid, I learned, and this is my friend telling me this, looking back all these years later, Mark, my friend Gail says, it was like you saw your father as a kind of a dangerous animal that was you were in the same cage with it, and
Yeah.
you had to figure out how to have it not kill you and eat you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And her observation was that you were like a scientist. You weren't manipulating him, but there was some manipulation because I had to learn how to navigate the heat of the oppression and his
Yeah.
attempt to control me. Well, we went to Florida in 69, 7 years old, Clearwater Beach. You ever been there?
Yes.
Okay. In
Definitely.
69, it was something else. It's not that great anymore. There's too many people.
Right. Yep.
It's,
Yep.
it's just a different place. Um,
Exactly.
I mean, there's good and bad always, but so it's 69. Here I am, this 7-year old kid. I'm living on the beach while our house is being built a few miles inland. And my sister was 7 years older, is 7 years older, and she was of that hippie generation.
Hmm.
Um, love, make love, not war,
Yeah.
Not a movement that accomplished all that much,
Yeah.
but that's a whole other conversation. Coffee houses were a thing back then. And so here I am, a 7-year old in this coffee house, and all these bohemian poets and singers and jugglers and storytellers and wild and outlandish tales. And my eyes are like as big as saucers. And this is actually in the book. My main character, Jonas Wilder, the protagonist, his story is loosely based on my own story. And
Okay.
the names are changed and situations are rewritten to make the story more tellable.
Yeah.
But I wrote the first 4 lines of what ends up on an album that's connected to this book called Tulips Don't Wait.
Right.
And I remember it like it was yesterday, and that was so long ago. This 12 or 13-year-old girl was on stage and she was reading Tulips by, it's a very famous poem. The poet was very sickly as a child. I can't believe her name escapes me. And Sylvia Plath,
Okay.
Tulips by Sylvia Plath. And it was a very sad poem. And here I don't really understand the poem, but I know that she's talking about tulips with the sadness.
Yeah.
Now, right there, I'm carried back to Massachusetts in my backyard on Washington Street. And as a kid, I would go out every day at the end of winter, the beginning of spring, because I wanted to be there when these things came up out of the snow, bright red and orange and yellow. And I would sit there long enough, and I swear I could see them moving. Like if you watch the hour hand on a clock,
Yep.
if you sit long enough, you can see that damn thing move.
Yeah.
And I would sit and I would watch the tulips and I would stare into them once they open. And if you've ever looked inside one, it's unbelievable. It's like a world of its own. And
Yeah.
I never touched it. I never damaged it. I didn't take it apart. I just appreciated it. And so here I am 1,000 miles away, missing the tulips from my childhood, listening to this poem that's all set. So I write down these 4 lines and I shove it in my pocket. That was the beginning of Mark the poet and the artist, even though I already
Cool.
was that, because I was observing the natural world and my connection to it,
Yeah.
which I think all children are capable of that. I don't think any child doesn't realize they're part of this all.
Yeah.
It's culture that beats that out of us. Do
Yeah.
this. What are you going to be when you grow up? All that crap.
For sure.
So, I navigated the rest of the years until I was kicked out of the house at 15, some egregious offense, by learning how to outrun the bear. Sometimes the bear was sleeping, so you could get away with stuff while the bear was sleeping.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I just want to give you some extended freedom here in the conversation because
sure.
I believe the same way about the soul, and have that understanding. And I try to allow that to flow out through these conversations as well when
Mhm.
it's applicable,
Mhm.
and possible. So further on in the conversation, don't even hesitate to talk from
Okay.
that perspective.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Um, it's fascinating the way that you're already navigating the world at that young age,
Mhm.
in terms of relationship to dad. Let's look at the relationship to mom.
Mhm.
How is that in terms of, was she a little bit more caring, a little bit more comforting, a little bit softer, in comparison?
Yeah. Yes, I'm glad you asked because she was the only ally in the
Mm,
family of five. The black sheep, you hear the syndrome, the black sheep. I was the
yeah.
black sheep.
Okay.
But the father's a tyrant. And mother came from a generation, and they've both passed now. They're both almost 100 years old when they died.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and my mom, even though she was my ally, she's Swedish. And the
Okay.
Swedes, if you've known the Swedes, they're very stoic,
Yeah.
much like some of the Germans and the Eastern Europeans. A lot of them are stoic.
Right. Yeah.
And even though I know she loved me, it wasn't like the Southern mom that I was introduced to when I moved to Florida.
Yeah.
Our neighbors, Blaine and Diane, their mom was this big, jolly woman that hugged you all the time. And,
Yeah.
I get a hug from my mom, but it wasn't that kind of hug. It was a Swedish
Right.
hug, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So even though my mom was my ally and I knew she loved me, um, she could only do so much because she was afraid of him as well.
Okay.
Even
Yeah.
though she wouldn't say it, she loved him. She absolutely loved him, but she was a saint and she was a little bit of an innocent soul.
Yeah.
And she was just happy to have someone do what culture told him to do. Get a job, get an education, get a job, have some kids, and then live your life with the American dream, supposedly.
Right. Right.
And so she always secretly championed my nonconformity without outwardly confirming it.
Gotcha.
Right. I remember when I was in my 20s, I was out on tour. And whenever I'd get back to town, of course, would swing through to see my mom and dad. Mostly
Hmm.
see my mom. Always giving my dad another chance to,
Yeah.
he never came through for me in that way, but that's okay.
Okay.
So my mom and I were sitting down on the dock by the lake. They were living in Crawfordville, Florida at the time. And we were all alone, a beautiful little lake, nobody around. And I started to tell her some of the things that I had done as a child, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, to feel my power. Things like at 11 years old, I was getting up at 11 at night and taking the family car.
Mm,
And I would go out and explore. I never drove wild. I never did any property damage. I was never trying to do much except explore and take some power for myself.
yeah.
And I never got caught.
That's
Right.
amazing.
Well, as I got a little older, I advanced, got more courageous about it, and started to enlist my friends in some of the adventures. And at one point, in my early 20s, mid 20s, my dad had a big, big boat, a twin screw, 40 some odd feet yacht. And I learned how to drive that by watching him. He wasn't very good at it, but he had
Okay.
gone to school to learn how to drive it. Have you ever driven a big twin screw boat?
No.
Okay. Long story short, when you get into the marina, you don't use the steering wheel. You use the engines,
Got you. All right.
right?
Yeah.
If you go full left and one engine forward, one engine in reverse, a 40-foot boat will literally spin like a top.
Got it.
So then you feather the throttle and get your way against the wind into the slip. I became good at it not by driving the boat, but by sitting in a lawn chair in my garage with my eyes closed and practicing the
Patience.
maneuvers.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I had read a book by, I believe it was Shakti Gawain, Creative Visualization. I was very young when I read it. I think it
Yeah.
was released in 72 or 73. And what she taught me was that your imagination isn't any less real than things you actually do outside of your mind. It's the same thing. It's stored in the same way. The memory's identical, right?
Yeah.
So I learned to do it, and I got so confident that one day I called my best friend Earl and I said, "I'm ready." He knew what I was doing, and we'd been taking the little 18-foot outboard for years, right? So
Okay.
we were practice boat thieves. So we went to the marina, and sure enough, we took this out no problem. I was actually really, really good at the boat driving, and even the risk of the marina guy knows who I am. He
Yeah.
knows who my father is. He knows I'm not supposed to be there. I'm not supposed to be taking that boat out. But Jonas does this in the book as well. Jonas learns that if you want to get away with stuff, you have to have allies.
Yeah.
And I learned to make allies out of the people in the place that I was breaking the rules. So
Mm.
they became behind the scenes part of my story. And they're not going to rat on me because we have this relationship of honesty.
Yeah.
And they never did, even though so many opportunities to get caught taking this, $250,000 boat out and then putting it back. And my dad's a Virgo, was
Yeah.
a Virgo, very particular. Everything had to be just so.
Yeah.
And the Polaroid camera was the thing back then. And I would buy film to the family Polaroid and we would photograph the details. Which way were the deck lines turned on the deck?
Right.
How was everything put away? Which way did the padlock face?
Ah.
Every detail, everything involved in the end of the day that I've observed my father being meticulous about.
Yep.
So we would keep folders of the photographs
That's amazing.
and put it away and never got caught. So here I am. It's a long story. I'm on the dock with my mother and I told her the story and she was fascinated, not judgmental, appalled in
Right.
a like in a delightful way.
Right.
I'm appalled and I'm delighted all at the same time.
Yep.
And when I was done with the story, she says to me, "We won't tell your father."
Nice.
I'm like, "Well, of course not. That's why we're down here at the dock."
Right. The confidant that you had within the family dynamic.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Was your mom just a stay-at-home mom
She
for much?
was until about 19, I want to say 72 or 73, once I was in
Okay.
junior high.
Got you. All
And then
right.
she had cool jobs like working for the local uh, technical vocational school, where you
All
go to
right.
learn to be an air conditioning mechanic or something.
Yeah.
And everybody loved her because she was
Cool.
very social, and that was her social life. She worked because dad was not very social. In fact, my dad, God rest his soul, he was a guy that didn't have a single person that he could pick up the phone and call and say, "Hey, can we just talk?"
Oh
It's
man,
hard to wrap my mind around that.
for sure.
Yeah, even though I don't keep a huge Rolodex, to use an old word, of
Yeah.
friends because I value really good, you know, loyal, trustworthy friends.
Yeah.
He didn't have a single person
Man.
that he could, but at the same time, I would pay attention to like the clients he had. He was a financial planner for a few years.
Okay.
They revered him. He was an honest man. He was a good man, even though he just didn't have many social skills. So
Right.
they appreciated the way he served them, but they weren't friends.
Yeah.
They didn't, go out and have beer after work, and that's not something he ever did. And,
Right.
wow, that's something I love to do with a handful of guys.
For sure. For sure. That as I'm hearing the story, I'm imagining how much potential loneliness that he experienced
Mhm.
just because he didn't have that kind of connection with others, and for maybe for whatever reason wasn't able to establish that type of connection outside
Sure.
of just the work that he was doing.
Yeah.
Um, and what I'm saying is that frustration might have manifested in that hardship of what he put out to
Hmm.
family and so
Yeah.
forth. Um,
Yeah.
we are,
I know for sure he was grateful for my mom, his wife,
yeah,
because she was always there for him in spite of the fact
right,
that
right,
everybody feared him. Everybody cringed at the sound of his voice coming from inside the house, two
yeah,
houses down.
yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
you were saying,
Um, with the introverted side of yourself, um, did that kind of show itself up when you were in elementary school in terms of maybe wanting to sit towards the back of the class
mm,
versus middle or up front where everybody could
yeah,
see you or the teachers could see you?
yeah. I went right in the middle.
Okay,
And you're the only one that has ever asked me that question.
really?
And I think that's very interesting that you're the only one that's asked me that because it seems like an obvious question now. But I didn't want to be in the back because that can draw attention to you. There's an avoider.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be in the front because now everybody knows who I am and that I'm trying to be the whatever, the teacher's pet, whatever. I
yeah.
went right smack down the middle.
Fascinating. Oh my God, this story's so rich already. Um, I'm seeing that adapter play out in that, just in that element alone. Um,
You are a student of human behavior, I can tell.
yes,
I can
yes.
see it in your eyes.
Have you seen the movie Mud with Matthew McConaughey?
Yes, it's been a while.
So what I'm hearing in your storyline reminds me of those two boys that are just out wandering around and trying
Yes,
to find things out and end up stumbling upon him, and then they kind of become friends with him a
yes,
little bit. That's
yes.
that adventurous side of your early life is just reminding me of that movie.
Yeah.
Um, how about friends at that point? Also, too, being in Florida, it's a completely different cultural way of living than Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So, was it fairly easy for you to at least get a few of those friends as that introvert, but also the adapter?
Yeah, I think it was easier in Florida. It was a gift. It was a gift that we ended up there.
Yeah,
Um, because there's the new, Did you spend any time in New England?
not no, not at
Okay,
all.
it's a little chilly. It's
Oh,
Yeah,
like,
and having been a guy that traveled full time Maine to Miami, I've got a
yeah,
real sense of the difference of the personality types as you
yes,
go from north to south.
yep,
But get to Florida, even though Florida is not a true southern state, it's a bit of a melting pot.
yep,
It's not like Georgia and Louisiana and South Carolina. They're very southern states.
yep,
There was more of a howdy, hey y'all, how you doing? Come on in, have some food. Have you eaten today, son? That sort of thing. That didn't happen much in New England. And of
hmm,
course, I left at 7, so I didn't have quite the mobility and the autonomy that I had by the time I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
right,
But I've noticed right away that I really like the openness because even though I'm an introvert, I liked to engage people so I could learn about them.
yes,
And funny, my partner right now, Katrina, when we met 11 years ago, 12 years ago, she's an introvert too. And she realized that I was doing in that first meeting what she usually does. And that is ask a lot of questions and show a lot of curiosity so you don't have to talk about yourself.
right, yeah,
Right? And
yeah,
she's like, he's doing that. He's doing this thing to me. This is my thing.
right.
So
Uh,
I
fascinating.
I found that the southern neighbors and people in school and the teachers and the administrators, they were much more open to this curious boy
Yeah,
who was not just trying to fill the silence. He wanted to know who you were and what can I get from you?
yes,
And like what can you impart to me? Not what can I take from you? What can you impart to me?
hmm,
And because my dad wasn't much of a hands-on parenter, I was not damaged by that. I have friends whose dad didn't show up for them. I feel really bad because they feel so damaged by that. I made
Yeah.
a different choice. Dad, I have empathy for you. This is in my mind. You're not capable of being there for me. That's okay. I
Mm.
found other dads, right? I found
Okay.
other dads. In fact, there was
Yeah.
this guy right around the corner. His son was a real life Doogie Howser, right?
Okay.
Never got anything less than an A, was off to MIT by the time he was 13, 14 years old. Just a brainiac. And dad's really smart. Two kids and mom and dad. Bob Lozer, God rest his soul too, he was a good man. I would wander down there, and he was one of the top executives for Underwriters Laboratories. You know who
Okay.
that is, right? Every
No.
electrical appliance you've ever seen has a sticker that says UL tested.
Okay, got it.
It's a
Yes.
consumer safety thing.
Yep.
So, having been with that company early on, Bob had the first one of a bunch of cool stuff, right? And it was his garage in his house was full of all this stuff. And the
Yeah.
best part was it wasn't a museum. You were supposed to touch it,
Right.
right? You were
Cool.
supposed to touch it because these are UL tested. They're safe, right?
Yeah.
And if you can break it, it's good to know that.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time with guys like Bob because there was a permission structure and a curiosity and an exploration of the possibilities that exist in life around you, which I never could extract from anyone in my family. So
Right.
I would just be gone all day until I heard that dinner bell. We literally had a dinner bell.
Oh, wow. Really?
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, and I'd ride my bike back home again.
Okay. Yeah, that was an interesting time in the world, even more so in Florida
Mhm.
because the weather was much nicer.
Oh
The
yeah.
exploration environment was much more vast and unique in that you had a whole lot of nature that
Yeah.
was there, a whole lot of different um, people, even coming in and out of Florida seasonally. Uh,
Right.
so the opportunity to see different folks from across the country, I imagine, was even a fascinating thing at that
Yeah.
point.
Absolutely, for sure. The weather was the biggest gift for a
Yeah.
7-year-old.
Oh, most definitely. It's a it's a huge gift for someone like me at this age, even um, being in Michigan for most of my life. In terms of home base kind of a thing. All of our family, both sides, moms and dads, are from East Tennessee.
Oh,
So I understand that Southern culture component a
yeah,
little bit
sure.
more intrinsically. And so we would, summers and vacations and holidays, we would travel back and forth to Tennessee and see family and stuff like that. So
Cool.
um, and then I ended up going to college for a short period of time in Pensacola, Florida, and was just in Clearwater a couple years ago, even before this podcast came about, trying to just go work for somebody else because I had gotten so frustrated with my art career at that point. I was just like, I'm just going to go down there and try to find a job.
Do
Never,
something, yeah.
yeah, didn't work out, but this did. So I guess it's the way it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
With your sisters being older, did any of them have any of that creative spark within them? You mentioned your middle sister was a little bit of that hippie-ish side, which is a bit creative. But did they have any specific creative things that they were doing?
Not really. I mean, Lynn, 7 years my senior, was kind of a sign of her era. She made her own clothes.
Okay.
So that was pretty creative, but it was not like artistic. It was very practical.
Yes.
I'm going to make them and wear them rather than, and they
All right.
weren't outlandish. They were, they would be the McCormick. It's a pattern. It was a thing.
Yes, I remember.
Remember these? Yeah.
Yep.
And the whole box is full of these patterns. And so they're just following the rules. So it's not the kind of creativity like painting outside of the lines. Like, I was that kid. So Lynn, no. Lori did sing and learned to play guitar later on in her late teens. I think that probably had more to do with me doing that and her
Okay.
going, "Oh, I could do that too." But neither one of them ever really did anything outside of what they were told. We get out of school, get an education, get married. Interesting, neither one of them had children,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Because my dad was not a good example of what it must be
Right.
like to be a parent.
Yeah.
In fact, my sister, Lynn, the older one, she
Uh-huh.
knew she was so certain there wasn't going to be any kids in her life. She graduated from high school, went immediately into university to become an accountant. While going to university to be an accountant, she became a surgical scrub nurse, which was a much shorter program,
Whoa.
right? So emergency room, surgical, and surgery, right?
Yeah.
Scalpel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me 3 silk, whatever. And not very far into that job while she was paying her way through her master's degree in accounting, this was 1979, maybe.
Okay.
She told the doc, they were in the operating room, she said, I want to have my tubes tied. And he said, jump up on the table. We got time.
Oh, wow.
I probably should be talking about this.
But that's a fascinating story, though, in terms of the thought process
Right,
of what she was dealing with within the
right,
family dynamic and how that affected her, and also looking at an opportunity that would afford that
right,
to not ever be an option that she had to worry about.
right. And she never looked back. There was never a regret.
Yeah,
I actually have a lot of respect for that kind of certainty.
for
I
sure.
know this, and
Yeah,
as I get older, it's clear that I have no regrets about my decision.
yeah. No, exactly. There's a there's something to say about that thought process in and of itself, because you're making a decision, you're holding to that decision, and you just know for your life's purpose and what you want to do this lifetime that you're making that decision accordingly,
Mhm.
because you already instinctively don't have the capacity for anything other than what's outside of what you're making a decision on and
Right.
holding to it. um Moving into, also too, I fondly remember the McCormick patterns because my grandmother was always sewing and making clothes as
Oh,
well. So
that's
I would
great.
I would always see
I
those go.
love that. There's very few people left that remember them.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, Shifting into middle school,
Mm.
as you're already experiencing this adventurous self, are you shifting into a little bit more of a comfort zone in terms of the school confines and having to deal with all of these different individuals at one time throughout a day?
Yeah, there was a lot of discovery in middle school because the friends that I had from the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade,
Mm-hmm.
and in Florida at the time, sixth grade was the end of elementary school.
Okay.
Middle school started at seven.
Yeah.
So seven and eight, and then 9, 10, 11, 12 was high school. So, but the friends that I had from the third grade through the sixth grade, I began to realize by the end of sixth grade that they were about different things. Were already being formed into these measurers and measuring up.
Yeah.
So whereas before we used to go down to the creek and we'd catch fish and we'd explore and try to find turtles and then we'd race the turtles and we'd let the turtles go. And then we got bikes and then the bikes were a way to get somewhere for more adventure.
Yeah.
But some of them the bikes became a status symbol. It's like they
Yeah.
want a fancier bike, they want a faster bike, they want to win races. So we began to deviate in our
Okay.
interests, and it was hard to be friends, especially when they'd been indoctrinated into conformity. They expected me to do the same thing, and they were judging me for why I wasn't into it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? Well, you too good for us or whatever. And it
Yeah.
was sad because I loved these boys. We were just boys
Yeah.
and we were just getting to know what it's like to be in a relationship with another person that's not your family,
Right.
right? Somebody that you choose to spend time with. And I remember feeling sad when I started to let them go and we just drifted apart. And
Mm.
junior high is where, of course, we're starting to get into puberty
Yeah.
and girls became a
Yeah.
thing. So that first chance to, okay, I'm going to try this relationship thing with a girl because there's something about her that I just feel this thing,
Yeah. The
It's in the
pull.
chest and the pulse quickens
Yeah.
this little girl I'd fallen in love with in the fourth grade. We carpooled, we neighbors lived a few streets apart. And we never went out, but I was always in love with her, and I always hoped that someday something would happen. So eventually there was another girl, and I began to navigate personal relationship and found that difficult as well.
Okay.
Yeah, the discovery was there's a lot of performance and a lot of I'm going to be how I think you want me to be
Mm.
instead of just being me and take me or leave me. And
Right.
it's not the kids' fault that so many of us fell into that trap. And because adults, they modeled it.
Yeah.
You can't watch a TV show or a movie that doesn't have people trying to date, right?
Exactly.
And it's just confirming the conformity.
Yes.
We grow up seeing it on TV and we think that's the way it's supposed to be. So I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
And I refused to do it. Right? I refused to be addicted to conformity, and everyone in my family drank the Kool-Aid and they conformed, and there were consequences for me because they judged me really darkly when they were observing my choices from a distance
Yeah. Yeah.
because we didn't talk to each other. And I was living a life that had a record, like a public record. When you
Yeah.
perform publicly and you travel and perform all over, there's news articles and there's stories about you and whatnot. So they would turn these stories and no, 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 into dark things,
Yeah.
which was remarkable because here I am, who I always have been, somebody trying to make a difference in the world. That's
Yeah.
light, right? But yet all
Yeah.
they can see is the darkness because I'm not doing what they did, which is what I was told to do.
Isn't that fascinating from the perspective? And I struggle with this as well,
Yeah.
um, because there's, from my side, there's always been this um, sense of, because I'm working in this particular industry or this one or this other one, and all had some kind of form of creative component to them.
Right.
And especially working in the music industry, nightclub industry, concert venue industry, there's a thought process that if you're working in that industry, you're doing all of those things that those rock stars that are coming through town are doing as well. And it's like, nah, man, I didn't do any of that stuff. I just went in, did my job, made sure that everybody knew I was trustworthy enough to be as close as possible to every one of those rock stars that would come through. And I would get put in those positions to either be directly responsible for taking care of what they needed or making sure that the access points to them was, solid and
Mhm.
wasn't going to be letting people through just because they were offering favors or whatever.
Right.
Um, but it was always fascinating to me that people thought I was that type of person just because being in that industry.
Right.
And it amazes me that people have that perception of not really getting to know who you are versus what they think you are.
Oh my.
Right?
Oh my. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild. It's wild. With that little bit of creativity that got sparked at those uh, venues that your sister would take you to,
Right.
moving into high school with that in your head and those things starting to come out of you, how did that impact that transition from junior high now into high school, which is a different level of um, eyeballs
Yeah.
being on you?
Yeah. I was playing the trumpet at the time.
Okay.
And so there was my musical outlet because you join the school band and there's marching band,
Yep.
orchestra, there's all sorts of opportunities, jazz band. the chamber singers. I was in the chorus as well. And what was great about that, going from junior high to high school, is that I was now a part of something that was okay with who I was presenting as.
Right.
And because I was a part of a whole room full of people that, at least for those hours that we're together, we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
We're all reading out of the same hymn book, so to speak.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so it was a wonderful time, even though I didn't have like the dearest friends from
Uh,
those groups. The camaraderie
okay.
really helped to not only give me confidence socially, but give me confidence that following the thread of finding my voice musically. Right now, I'm playing the notes on the page. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of room to color outside of the lines. When I was 15, I was shipped to boarding school in my
Okay.
junior year of high school. And that's when I grabbed the old wooden family guitar that no one played. I think my mom bought it with green stamps. And I,
Mm.
I took that with me because I was going to go into a foreign environment and I wanted to have something that could be my friend until I figured it what I was going to
Yeah.
do. So I began to write songs and do different variations. I started by rewriting the lyrics to John Denver songs
Okay.
because the melodies were already there and I didn't have to worry
Yeah.
about that.
Right.
You just made me realize something. I played the bugle before I played the trumpet
All right.
because my dad in the third grade said, you have 1 minute to choose the instrument you're going to play in the band. And being the kid that I've already explained I
Yeah.
waited 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Classic.
And of course, I wanted to see what would happen. And sure enough, he said, you're not playing in the band. Well,
Ah,
what did I do? I went into the cupboard with the same green stamps that likely bought that guitar.
yeah.
And I rode my bike down to the S&H green stamp store and they had a bugle.
Okay.
I bought that bugle.
Right on.
So I spent the whole year playing the bugle and developing the embouchure without any concern for the complexities of the fingerings.
Right. Right.
So when I entered band in the fourth grade, I was already an advanced blower. My
Got it.
chops were there, my diaphragm was strong, I had wind in my lungs, and so
Yeah.
from then on, I was almost always first chair.
Okay.
Right. So now, fast forward, I'm in all the bands, I'm doing really well, getting a lot of attention, introvert getting the attention.
Yeah.
Now I begin to sing and play the guitar in front of people.
Mm.
And that takes my soul to a whole other level because now I was seeing how the way I said a phrase and the way I decided to let the words come out, there's more complexity to words and melody than there is to just melody.
Yeah.
As with the trumpet player, you can when you're listening to Louis Armstrong
Yeah.
compared to Herb Alpert.
Sure.
And there's a big difference there. But when you have words and the way you use the words, that's another level of influence. And I began to see that I had this power to make people feel things
Right.
or think,
Yeah.
right? Or reconsider. And
Exactly.
that's why I was rewriting the lyrics because even in the music business, you know this. Since the marketization of art,
Mm.
specifically music,
Hmm.
if you really want to be successful, you need to be successful in a big way if you're going to make any real money. But now you're writing and performing to some degree for the marketplace.
Right.
A&R guys, the record label, they tell you what they need from you, with few exceptions, right? You
Hmm.
can compromise now and again, a little or a lot, but you're playing the game.
Yes.
And I realized I was never going to be able to do that. And so I wasn't interested in the words that were already in the songs that I liked. I liked the words, but
Yeah.
a lot of times for me, they confirmed a bad idea, especially in love,
Okay.
right? The
Yeah.
obsessions and the broken heart and the pain and suffering that goes on for years when it
Yeah.
doesn't, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, right?
Right.
You don't have
Yes.
to have it go on. And the songs that I was singing were like, yeah, I don't really want to sing that. So I would rewrite the lyrics. that gave me the confidence as a lyricist to say, okay, now I'm going to step out and I'm going to start and write a whole song with no guardrails, no structure, no set melody. And I never looked back. I've written 100 songs, released 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, I never looked back. It's just the greatest thing. And it's short form storytelling.
Yeah.
If you're going to get a story, and of course, remember, I'm not writing songs to make people feel something below the hips, right? I'm
Yes.
writing songs to make them feel something between the ears,
Right, right.
right?
Yes.
Which is a little more complex than making people move their hips.
And it's a whole different perspective for the record label and the A&R and all those,
Yes.
because they're thinking it's got to be in the other direction, the other part of the body.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a you'll enjoy the book if you get around to reading it, Rich, because my foil, Vince Crowley, is that guy. He decides he wants that. We're
Okay.
partners in a band, and he goes to the dark side, I go to the light side, and
Right. Okay.
there's the end of that relationship. And
Yeah.
he goes down on the book because he took that path. What were we talking about?
You're talking about how it allowed you to step outside of the societal
Mm,
structure of
right,
creating this music and what those lyrics represented in terms of an experience that you should have
right,
versus what you decided you were gonna have with being able
right.
to write your own.
Yes, and to write songs about that was it was like you were a revolutionary, but nobody wanted to hear it.
Yes.
Certainly the marketplace didn't want to hear it.
Right.
And when I moved to New York in '89, I thought maybe I'd go explore the idea of a record deal. I'm out of high school now. I've been playing in the clubs for 9 years. I've written a bunch of songs,
All
and I
right.
got there. Go
Before we
ahead.
get there, can we just roll back just a little bit?
Sure.
Because I want that's a jump ahead with a whole lot of stuff that I know is there
No, I
that I
appreciate you pulling me back. I
that I
appreciate
want.
it.
Yeah, I want to capture it because I'm sure that there's all kinds of stuff. Where I'd like to go first, and you said this early on, was that you got kind of kicked out of the house at 15.
Yeah.
Was that boarding school the result of that scenario taking place?
Yes, yes, and no.
Okay.
Is split sessions were a thing because there's too many kids for the schools?
Okay, got it.
And yeah, and so because I was smart, I had to take upper class classes in the morning, and then I'd had to go to the regular classes in the afternoon. So I was going the equivalent of two school days.
Yes.
I mean, I had a lot of breaks in the middle, but you weren't allowed to leave campus.
Right, right.
So my attention as a smart, adventurous kid started to suffer, and my grades started to slide. I was cutting school,
Okay, gotcha.
stealing the boat during the day with my buddies.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And instead of disciplining me locally, my dad just asked advice from business partner. What did you do with your problem child?
Okay.
And they said boarding school, and they said which boarding school? He didn't even do his own homework. He sent me to the same one that his business partner's daughter went.
Jeez. Oh man.
Yeah, so there I was, off I went. And,
Yeah.
it's a culmination of bad grades. And he looked for an excuse. There was a moment that's actually in the book too, where I told him I didn't want to do a certain something educationally.
Hmm.
And it was the classic reaction. That's not our plan for you. Look at all we've done for you. How
Right.
dare you? You can't even, and he looked around, you can't even take out the garbage reliably.
Mm.
And then the decision was made, and we were literally gone a couple of days later.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm saying is that that creative is coming out almost in full bloom
Yeah.
at this point in time as well, and the adapter um, is starting to realize, all right, I've just got to make a pivot here, and in doing so, you step into taking that guitar, starting to write these songs, starting to get some notoriety from
Yeah.
the peers around you because they're recognizing, oh wait, this he's doing something different compared to the trumpet, and
Yeah.
especially something different compared to the bugle.
John Denver. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly, exactly. Um, as you're getting farther into high school, say junior, senior year, what is the elemental adventure that's taking place with having this musical realization, but also thinking, I'm about to graduate here in a minute, so to speak. What is the thought process of how are you going to navigate that transition?
Yeah, well, the thought process was it was a little scary because I knew there was going to be a moment when I was going to come up against my dad again.
Yeah.
I got a scholarship full ride to university
Okay.
because I was a talented kid, played the trumpet well, sang well. By
Nice.
my senior year, I was taking 6 music classes a day because I'd been to so many different schools that I got all the academics out of the way.
Nice.
And so I was just playing music 6 hours a day in senior year and got the scholarship and told my dad I wasn't going to take it, right?
Mm,
I'm not going to take it. I did do a 1 year of junior college,
okay.
and then I took the CLEP tests, which you can skip a year if you test well.
Yeah.
So I would have gone into university as a junior, right? So I would have gotten a 4 year degree in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going to go. And at this point, I was already playing, in the clubs. I started at 18 before I was even able to drink,
Okay.
playing in the clubs. And that was it. It says, you are cut off. Not that, it's not that they were providing other than
Didn't make any difference.
So that was it. That was the final straw. And they waited a little while thinking, oh, this is going to wear off. He's going to realize that it's the classic thing. This is not a career.
Right.
He's a dreamer. He'll figure it out. He'll be back. Well, it never happened. It never happened. Can I let you in on a little secret?
Oh, please do.
I didn't know this until I was 30. My dad's dad killed himself 6 months after I was born. He was the same age as I am today.
Wow.
Right? And he
Yeah.
was a songwriter.
Okay. Okay.
And that at 30 made me go, now I get what I saw in my father's eyes when the few times that he would see me playing
Yeah.
and singing. I could see that there was something going on back there that I had no information about.
Yeah.
I didn't even know my grandfather, his father's name. No one ever spoke of it because you weren't allowed to.
Wow.
The tyrant says this is not spoken of in this household. And his
Yeah.
sister is the one that revealed this to me. She sent me a tape with my grandfather singing and playing the piano.
Really?
Yeah, a couple of years before he killed himself, he hung himself in the garage. And of course, I didn't know him. I was 6 months old. I was, just an
Yeah.
infant. But
Sure.
this explained a lot. And getting back to the soul thing,
Yeah.
I get that I got something from my grandfather and he got it from somewhere else and that came from somewhere else on back through the human story.
Yeah.
Creative spark is either past or extinguished. But if it's extinguished, it's not put out. It just moves
Mm-hmm.
to a different vessel, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate you interjecting that because as soon as you said it, I lit up with chills and it made sense to me. Because normally in a conversation, I will venture into the grandparents to see how they have played a role
Mhm.
in comparison to the parents. A lot
Mhm.
of times, those grandparents have an effect that is completely opposite of the way the parents are sharing that. And for whatever reason, I just instinctively didn't ask that with you this time. And I believe it was just because your secret needed to come out at that particular point in the conversation. So I appreciate you interjecting that. But you're right. It makes absolutely all kinds of sense. And it also ties into part of the storyline of what this platform is set up to do, and it's to acknowledge that a lot of times the creative journey is not all wonderful and wonderland-ish. There's a lot of times there's an internal struggle that's taking place that cannot be um, overcome to the point of a realization there's another option available.
Right.
Um, Me personally experiencing that as part of my journey and attempting that as well. Um, but yet here I am doing something different and being able to speak to that in the way that I can recognize that within myself, within your grandfather, is that he just couldn't see that there was another option for him to pivot to. He felt that was the only way that he could get some relief from what he was struggling with. But what's amazing is the fact that you got that recording of what he was doing and what he was creating.
Yeah.
What a treasure.
And I have photocopies of, because, we're talking the 50s,
Yeah,
handwritten notation notes on the staff with the words written under the notes in
yeah,
handwriting, and with his name in the upper right-hand corner.
nice,
And that was cool. And Sandy, my dad's sister, she said, I didn't know what I was ever going to do with this. And now I know why I hung on to it all these years.
amazing.
Your dad didn't want it. I tried to give it to him. And now that I know what you're about and I've heard you,
Yeah.
this is for you.
Oh, what a gift. What a gift. And it plays into exactly what your dad was struggling with. Some of that internal um, angst that he must have felt again from
Mhm.
not being able to experience his dad further along in life.
Right.
Um, it probably even a no understanding of what that was, what he was dealing with, and no way of being able to empathize at any
Hmm.
format, right?
Yeah.
At any spectrum, didn't have the
Yeah. It's
potential
just got to
capacity.
be a major source of his inability to connect. Yeah.
Right, right. I imagine that says a lot to that for sure. With you shifting into this musical career where you're playing in these venues and it's really providing you the opportunity to feel some freedom to express these things within you, and also to getting that feedback from your parents that, hey, we're not supporting you any longer, but yet you've got this little bit of a head start on them before they're even able to put that in front of you. um, what is that starting to look like in terms of, I'm enjoying this. I think this is a direction I want to go and pursue further. And what is the next steps that you take once you realize that?
Yeah, the enjoyment, I think it really needs to be qualified.
Okay.
The enjoyment of my life has been a constant. And looking back in hindsight, I can attribute that to not compromising who I knew I was,
Yeah.
not only as a human being, independent of the civilization story or cultural story, but
Yeah.
if you're a buff of history, the human saga is millions of years old, not
Oh, for
thousands
sure.
of years old. Yeah. So the enjoyment was I'm still enjoying this. I'm still enjoying this. So it wasn't I'm going to do this because I'm now enjoying this.
Okay.
And for some reason, again, the whole this is my how many times around in life, I knew that I was doing the right thing and the next thing will also be revealed. And just like in the book, when Jonas decides to get off the road, the same thing. I mean, it's a parallel in my own life.
Yeah.
I thought I could change the world with a song, the idealist creator,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
For sure.
And what I learned was you don't think about changing the world. You think about one person that's in front of you,
Yeah.
right? And there was a moment when I knew without a doubt that I had been doing the right thing because the journey allowed the insight and the time and the space. I work 2 hours a day. I mean, everyone I know works 8, 10 hours a day,
Yeah.
even in my early days. I worked 2 hours a day and I didn't squander the other eight.
Okay.
I learned, I read, I talked to people, I explored, I thought, I moved, I rode my bike, and it's the reason that freedom was the reason I could write the things I wrote. And there was a moment in time. Here I am in this little coffee house in the Carolinas. There's a family of four and a few other people. It's a very intimate place. And it's the kind of place that people go to because they know they're they're not going to be surprised in any unpleasant way,
Yeah.
right? This is our place.
Hmm.
And whoever is going to be up there on that lonely microphone over the scuffed up wood floor, we're going to enjoy it. Well,
Yeah.
I started playing, and the man has two teenage daughters. I played a song called Leave It All Behind. And he started to lean forward. And having been a street performer in New York, you learn as a performer to tune into these micro
Oh yeah.
physical signs that you've got their attention.
Yeah.
So I leaned in, and the song in a nutshell is about the crisis of realizing that here I am working eight to five, and my boss gets a raise, I get a pin for my lapel. Right? I'm just another spoke within the wheel. I'm losing all control, and I don't like the way I feel. Leave it all behind.
Hmm.
He sees himself in the song, and it's like he's realizing for the first time that I knew something was up. Well, then the next song comes up. It's called The Good Life, which is a song that tells the story of that kind of the same man that makes a different decision in his realization that
Yeah.
he's not going to let his boss take his life from him, and he's not going to live this life. Instead, he's going to live this other life, the good life. And the
Gotcha.
song describes a different choice.
Right.
He leans in even more. And then I dropped one more song. I think it was the good, not the good life. Where did we come from? Which is the historical perspective that civilization and culture is not humanity, right?
Yeah.
It's a completely artificial distortion in the human time. Everything is imagined by a few humans and change the way we interact with each other and with life and with the earth
Hmm.
and resources. So the song is about that. In 5 verses, I literally tell the history of man, which
Wow.
try to do that in 5 verses.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
So
that's like very compact information.
he sent his family home, the lovely family, kissed the girls, hugged his wife, sent him home. He stayed, apparently walking distance from home.
Okay.
He comes up to me while I'm rolling up my cords and putting my stuff away, and we have this long conversation. And the scene is rewritten in the book, very compelling. And he and I were pen pals for years after that.
Oh wow.
And in the book, it's lengthened for storytelling purposes.
Okay.
But this guy in real life made real decisions because of those three songs on that one night when he was in his mid 40s with two teenage girls, working hard, living the dream, and realizing there's something about my life that doesn't feel like my own. And
Sure.
these songs, in a particular order, were what pushed him over the edge.
Mm.
He started to not take the extra jobs and putting in the extra time. He didn't quit. But the most important part was he admitted to his wife that I've been making decisions based upon what everybody else expects of me.
Yeah.
And he even realized how weird it was at that moment that everyone said how much they respected him and they admired him and they wanted to be him. And he was like, I should have told you all along how afraid I was.
Yeah.
Right. So he admitted this to his wife and his two teenage daughters, which means he did what my dad and grandfather couldn't do.
Right.
Trim tab, change directions, right? The honestly allowed the kids to not repeat the dad's mistake.
Yes.
They then had children and they shared the same truth with those kids,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So did I change the world with a song? A
You
little bit.
changed it. Yeah, exactly. You changed. You changed something that was generational,
Yes.
right?
That's when I knew that I'd been doing exactly, and I've never really doubted it, but you have moments,
Oh yeah.
am I sure?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's when I knew I need to now go to another level, not fame and fortune, but a
Right.
way to create things that have the same effect on people that don't on me being alone
Yes.
in a van, burning fossil fuel, 100 miles a day. It was a great life,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the intimacy and the loyal core relationships that at 40 I was yearning for at this point.
Sure.
Especially when I'm watching this man and his wife and his two daughters, evolve over the next couple of years. That
Yeah.
I got to be privy to all that in emails and handwritten letters too. And I knew that I had to go figure out how to be me, but step back into the ring of culture, but
Mm-hmm.
still try to strike that balance and not get addicted again to the possessions and the accumulation of wealth and all the work. And then, 8 hours a day to earn the money to pay for everything that you're now defining your
Yeah.
life. And I had enough experience at that point that I did very well at not drinking the Kool-Aid and falling into that same trap.
Right. Right. Excellent. Excellent. So let's circle back then. And what was the decision to leave Florida and go to New York?
Mhm.
What was that? What was the idea behind that decision?
Yeah. We're getting into this shiny object thing.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
started to achieve some notoriety, and I won a regional talent contest playing the
Okay.
guitar and singing.
Yeah.
And then that went on to, it was the state and then the region, and the nationals were in New York. So it's like, okay, I'll go to New York and I'll compete. I might as well. I've made it this far.
Right.
And I win. I win the thing. And what's interesting about the win is that they were going to pay for a full scholarship to the New York Academy of Theatrical Arts,
Okay.
which is an acting school. And here I won this competition as a singer-songwriter.
Yes.
And roll back the clock, this is 1981. It was really big in soap operas that
Hmm.
one of the characters, male, played and sang the guitar. Rick Springfield was in one.
Yeah.
Jack
Yep.
Wagner was in one. This was 1981. I
Yes.
was going to be the next one,
Okay.
right? And they took me to, the William Morris agency and
Right.
headshots, the whole nine, and sat me down. This is what we're going to do with you. And I'm like, this doesn't appeal to me at all.
Right. Yeah.
But the shiny object, and I did a little homework and I realized that soap opera acting is a 15, 18-hour day,
Right.
right? Whether you're on set or not, you're available. And I'm like, I don't think so. But what I decided to do is go ahead and go through the school, but
Okay.
turn down the contract, which you had to
Nice.
finish school before you got the contract anyway.
Right.
But they didn't provide lodging, no room and board, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I go back home and I'm like, okay, I know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna tell my parents I won this thing. Can you float me? And
Yeah.
no, absolutely not. I knew it was gonna be the answer,
Right.
but in a way, it was made me chuckle because here I am sitting in William Morris' office, rejecting it in my mind,
Yeah.
but willing to take the education because I love education, right? I'll take what I need for the education.
Yeah.
And knowing that as soon as I get back to Florida, the answer is going to be no. And at this point, it was not really a smart option for me to just go to the big city at 19 years old and try to work and go to school in the big city. I mean, at that
Yeah.
point, an apartment was $1,000 a month. That same apartment is $4,000 a month now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a no-go. So I went right back to the clubs and started writing more songs and started playing and singing, with other people and just kept on keeping on.
And were you able to do that in New York City, or did you have to come back uh, south in order to continue working in the clubs?
Oh no, I came back south because
Okay.
every beach has a tiki bar.
Okay.
And you can play 11.9 months a year,
Right. Right.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And so, yeah, well, I'd already lived the dream on the beach, and I knew that, back then we were getting paid $75 a night, which is pretty good for the early
Yeah.
80s. In
Yeah.
fact, some of the guys I know today aren't making any more money.
Right.
40
Exactly.
years later, yeah.
Exactly.
You know, so
That's
I came
part of
back, I
the
came
downfall.
back and just did the clubs more and more and more and started to excel even more. Went back to New York in the late 80s to try to get the record deal.
Okay.
Because by then I had money and, I'd earned enough and saved enough and I was old enough that I could get some kind of job in hospitality to pay
Right.
the
Okay.
bills, and street performing was very lucrative.
Yes.
I was making 30, 40 grand a year in quarters and small bills.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. When you get back there at this later age, more experience under your belt, a little change in the pocket, what is the process of you already knowing some steps or agencies within the steps
Mhm.
to getting to a record label? How are you navigating it now versus earlier on?
Now, like today, 2025,
No, now as in
in
this time,
1989, yeah.
yeah, in '89, going back and trying to see if you can get the record deal.
Well, I followed the playbook. You get your tapes done. I bought a few $1,000s worth of, tape gear, 4-track Tascam,
Okay.
and made demos. Went to the Songwriters Guild, networked with other songwriters, which was an interesting experience. Um, and I got some young A&R people to sit down with me, and right away, the things that they would say, they go, "Oh, that's interesting, huh? Well, we've already got somebody that does that. Oh, that's so 10 years ago. Can't you write songs like so and so? Why don't you just come back next month with some songs like so and so?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, but if I do that, you're going to say we already have that because you told me to write like so and so.
Right.
And it was that over and over and over. And I was like, well, I had more insight too. I got a job as a butler at Sony Music headquarters.
Oh, fascinating.
Yes.
Expand.
Yes, it was very interesting. Restaurant Associates was a company, and they ran 200 food services and restaurants in the city. It was a union gig and no money. It's private dining, so no money changing hands.
Yeah.
White jacket, black tie, black
Right.
pants, shiny
Yeah.
shoes. And my job is to serve 3 meals a day if they need it to guys like Tommy Mottola,
Right.
right? Head of Sony Music, and this was the year Mariah Carey came on the scene. And in fact, I rode the
Okay.
elevator up with Mariah Carey about a week before the wedding.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's just a fun story to tell. It
For
doesn't have
sure.
anything to do with the record business.
Just some flavor.
Yes, what I learned though is in the A&R meetings, 20, 30 people, the artist is never there. They screen a video, rough video, and they play the music. And the way they would talk about the artists, and they don't know that I'm a writer and that I'm a singer.
Right.
I'm just the
Yeah.
butler, right?
Yeah.
And I'm listening, I'm watching, and they're talking about them like they're animals. They're not human, they're just a way to make money.
Hmm.
And I began to learn about the financial side of the record business, that
Okay.
you don't make any money until they make a lot of money.
Yes.
And we were already at the point where my musical upbringing, the Eagles, James Taylor, Billy
Yeah.
Joel, these are
Yeah.
generational artists, the products of the 60s and the 70s.
For sure.
That's changed. The record industry is now run at this point, 1989, 1991, lawyers and accountants.
Yeah.
And the decision is how can we make the most amount of money? And it's not having the same artist make record after record. It's a new artist, a big hit, move on to the next. It's a hit mill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, here I am. How do I fit into this? The answer is you don't, right? So here I am in New York, surrounded by musical people, making friends, playing in the streets, making friends that way too. And I meet enough people to get a record, but no deal,
Okay.
right? A fellow who's still a friend of mine, third generation music family, and they're all in the commercial jingle business.
All right.
You can
Got
make
it.
records and, play
Yeah,
on
yeah,
famous records as a sideman, but you make more money in commercials.
for sure.
And he was working for the guy that wrote the jingle for Kit Kat. Give me a break,
Yeah.
break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Yes.
The guy was making $1 million a year easy, still is to this day, because they just keep remixing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's this guy, my engineer and my drummer in the band from those days. He said, "Come on in. I've never made a full record. I'm going to do this for you. We'll do it together." And so we put a band together and we recorded 10 tracks, Firehammer and the Forge, full band, horn section, the whole nine. And I had to relinquish creative control because Casey was willing to do this and
Okay.
he needed this too, right?
All right.
So it wasn't the kind of record that would represent what I would continue to do because I learned very quickly that five guys on the road is expensive, right? And if you're not booking the kind of gigs that pay, $6,000 a night,
Yes.
you're not making enough money to put them in hotels and 3 meals a day and,
Yep.
buses and planes and all that stuff. So, year into the first year of touring, I had to do away with that. And besides, I had written all the songs, and these guys were just sidemen. They weren't emotionally
Invested.
invested in the record.
Yeah.
Great guys, all of them, and I still hear them in their commercial work that they do. And so there I was, man without a band, but a record in my hand. There's a song right there, right? Man without a
Yeah.
band, but a record in my hand.
Yeah.
I'll write that down later.
You need to.
So that's when I went on the road solo and had merchandise to sell and didn't stop. Didn't go to any place called home for 5 years.
Nice. That the fascinating component of that whole line of thought and story was the fact that it was the same mindset as the kid way back when who's observing everything, and that one that's taking that Polaroid camera, capturing every aspect of a scene and experience around you so that you can make sure it's exactly the way it was after you do what you need to do to get that adventure going on.
For one reason and one reason alone, to maintain my autonomy and freedom.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And I want to highlight that for the audience because of the fact that there's so many creatives, um, and me included at a particular point in time, that go after the things that seem like they're going to be the step that takes you higher on the ladder, right? But they don't always think of it from the perspective of if I do this myself, I retain full creative control always. And now in 2025, there's even more opportunity to be able to live in that environment of the independent artist,
Right.
independent creative, just because of technology, the way that the industries have shifted, all of them, especially the music industry. It at this point, my perspective on the music industry is that the only thing that a record label can really essentially do for you at this point in time is offer the opportunity for distribution in a way that social media doesn't always
It's too
provide.
easy. Yeah, it's too
Yeah, doesn't always provide, but it's a still smaller piece than what it used to be early 2000s, end of the 90s. Like it's completely different. It's
yeah.
changed. Heck, it's changed more so in the last 8 years than those past 15, 16, 17 years.
Right.
But that's the thing I want to highlight for the audience is the fact that that has carried you through. That mindset has kept you moving in the directions that you've gone and has served you well and allowed you to touch people in ways that may have never have happened if you went down that other road of being
Right.
locked in
Right.
to somebody. Um,
I love that you see it. You're taking a lot of details in, and you see that.
Yeah.
Most people are moving way too fast
Oh, for sure.
in their mind, and they're missing the subtleties. So I really appreciate this conversation.
No, thank you. I appreciate that feedback because that's really my intent is to be able to have the guest tell their story,
Mhm.
me highlight different things based on their experiences for other artists and creatives out there. But also, too, it's information to me for me to be able to relate to the guest, to be able to highlight some things sometimes that those guests don't even comprehend or think about,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
So that I appreciate that feedback as well. As you're starting to move into the phase of got this record under my belt, I know what that feels like. I know what that experience was. I'm still moving forward in this career, but autonomously with my own creative license to do whatever I want to do. Where do you move in terms of, say, early 2000s, mid 2000s, once you've got that under your belt?
Yeah. Um, Off the road in 2000,
Okay.
5 years almost to the day of never going to a place called home. I didn't even keep a home.
Yeah.
An important detail is that when you make the decision that I made, the only way at the level of fame that I was at that you can do that is to sacrifice the trappings of a comfortable lifestyle.
Right.
I
Exactly.
didn't keep an address because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to go back there, or if I did keep an address, I'd be going out 100 miles and back,
Yeah.
200 miles and back, night in a hotel back. That didn't make sense for me. So off I went. This was before social media,
Mm-hmm.
before ubiquitous broadband
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
So when I got off the road, I had a full year's worth of digital 8-track ADAT recording of
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
And I called up Casey, the guy that produced my first record, and said, dude, I got these tapes. I'm going to spend 6 months listening to 100 takes of every song and choose the top 12. Will you master them for me? He said, yeah, yeah, sure, no problem. He was like, oh, this is going to be a disaster because his experience is live recordings, the levels are no good.
Yeah.
But what he forgot is he taught me well.
Okay.
I recorded them with a compressor nicely set
All
so that the
right.
levels didn't really need normalization.
All right.
When Casey got the tapes, he was like, "Oh man, all I got to do is sweeten these up. I just got to add some reverb and a little bit of, EQ here and there." And so he gave me that gift too. I've been blessed in that regard. He's been there for me not once but twice.
All right.
And so now I have two records, right? I'm
Yeah.
not interested in going back out on the road because in 2000, like I'd been alone now full time for pretty much for 5 years.
Yeah.
And no loneliness, no. You brought that up earlier about my father. He's a
Mm-hmm.
different animal than me.
Right.
I, at this point, was really good friends with myself. I knew who I
Okay.
was as a human, as an
Yeah.
artist, as a man,
Yeah.
and I knew that I could thrive outside of the structures and systems of culture and step
Fantastic.
step in and out, play the college, go
Yeah.
back to the campground,
Yeah.
play the bookstore, go back to the state park, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm saying, okay, now I'm going to explore relationships. I'm going to find deep, soulful connection with other human beings, male and female, friends and partners alike. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't, some of them are still here today. But
Right.
that's how it works.
Yeah.
Right? You got to try a few before you try the beer that you like. Do you like
Exactly.
IPAs? Do you like Pilsners? Do you like?
Right.
So here I am off the road going, how do I make money? This is where the danger for me was I've got to make sure I don't slip back into the grind because now I'm living in a house with other people, and the expenses are climbing
Yeah.
and the opportunities for creativity are there, but the time available is less than I'm used to at the 2 hours a day is my work
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled, right? I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
But because I've had the experience, I know it's possible.
Right.
You can't tell me anything's impossible if I just spent 5 years doing it, or
Exactly.
20 years actually doing it.
Exactly.
So I said to myself, what am I good at? And I was good at marketing because I managed to be booked 90 days in advance for 5 years nonstop by
Wow.
using the early internet, Yahoo Messenger, AOL, email, and chat. And I would go into chat rooms either on music or van, living in a van,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
even Ford van repair,
Okay.
chats, right?
Yeah.
Because I had
Yeah.
a 1982 Ford van named Matilda.
Nice.
And one of the great things about my era is that you could work on that vehicle. I kept one of those turtle tops on the roof
Yeah.
with a spare everything.
Okay.
Carburetor, alternator, hoses, belts, everything that you would need for roadside repair.
Nice.
And so here I am. How am I going to make money? I'm good at marketing. I partnered up with a guy and we opened a little marketing company. And I
Okay.
just taught other people to do what I'd been doing in a very rudimentary way.
Right.
But really, no one's ever learned anything new about marketing. For hundreds of years, it's been about words that people go, that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's my destination. That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
And so I learned to do that, but in a less yucky way that a lot of marketing agencies do. Some of
Yeah.
it's a little icky.
Right.
And I've had a digital marketing agency for almost 30 years now.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we still have it. It's part of the corporation that I got absorbed into.
Okay.
And it's what sustained me while then going out and doing open mics and playing with local musicians. And I could take a vacation now and again. And when I was on the road, I had a Rand McNally map that I
Yes.
kept in the back of the seat
Yeah.
that had a yellow marker, highlight marker of front porches in the Appalachians, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Front porches where you could count on pickers to congregate midweek in the evening.
Oh, fascinating.
Right. And so some of my greatest musical experiences had nothing to do with audience or performance.
Right.
It was community.
Yeah.
Right. And I had gotten a taste of that on the road while making my money in front of audiences. So when I got off the road, I was like, I'm going to seek more of that.
Right.
And for a full year without missing a Friday, I did a pizza place in Northampton, Mass. Open mic. And this was 2007, I guess.
Okay.
2007, 2008. And I was streaming the whole night live. And it's a five college town.
Wow. Yes.
Right. So all these kids from all over the world, far from their friends at home, far from their parents, they would cram into this place. And
Yeah.
I was the holder of safe space. That was my
Genius.
thing. I want you to feel safe to do anything here. No one's going to judge you.
Right.
If somebody tells you you can't sing, we don't care. We want you to sing. Do what you want to do. And
Yeah.
we would stream it live and they would get their friends and family to tune into the live stream. We'd have hundreds of people on the live stream from a
Right.
pizza place in Northampton, Massachusetts.
Yes.
So that's, where I found my creative outlet. And I played a good 30, 40 minutes a night as part of that, as part of the deal. The guy
Okay.
that gave me the venue said, you can't just hold space. I need you to play because he'd already heard me. He says, I need you to play because some of
Right.
the
Right.
people aren't going to be very good. And I said,
Okay.
that's okay. So that's how I kept my juices flowing. And I wasn't writing that much, but I was writing a lot down
Hmm.
and gathering my thoughts and still continuing to evolve my perception of myself and my place within not culture but humanity and what humanity was.
Sure.
And and it takes me to where I am now. And of course, if you asked me in 2007, would I launch a nonprofit that is organizing unfamous but passionate creatives to
Yeah.
create content specifically designed for curious minds to wake up to certain things?
For sure.
If you asked me in 2007, I could not have predicted it.
Yeah.
But it's exactly where I was supposed to be. How many years later? 18?
13.
Yeah, something like that. It's a bunch of years.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. What? 2 years shy of 20. So
Yeah.
18 years. Um, again, another highlight that I want to shine on this concept of what you did and just described. The fact that you're in a 5 mile radius of colleges,
Mhm.
right? In multiple directions. You chose a pizza place, probably the number one food source for a college student
They're pizza.
at any point in time. That's genius from my perspective. And also, too, that you're live streaming in 2007 as well, which I believe is ahead of the curve. Am
Oh
I
yeah, I've
correct?
always been an early adopter. Yeah.
Yeah, ahead of the curve, even live streaming. Like,
Live streaming a USB feed off the board, not just a phone mic, but a full feed off the board into the computer
holy cow.
with reverb and EQ and yeah.
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 Oh my God.
And to see sometimes the parents on the other end, I miss my little girl, I miss my boy.
Right.
And I would, while they're performing, I would sometimes connect with people in the chat. And
Okay.
sometimes I could bring them in if they had a camera and the
Oh, cool.
tears streaming down their
Yeah.
face.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm, again, going back to that kid, that little boy, that curious achiever, uh, an adapter who's out there cutting his own way, but connecting with individuals based upon the necessity of you being autonomous. That guy at the docks who you made that connection early enough on that you knew you weren't going to get told on when you and your buddy took that boat out on the water. Establishing that type of a rapport over the years, as your story is shown, is huge. And I want that to be noticed by the audience from this conversation, whether you're listening or watching. I want that to be shown that that is a skill set as an introvert, as someone who doesn't want to have the golden lights shined on him all the time, who doesn't have to be out in front of everything, in the face of it, in front. Um, but if you can adapt that characteristic into your lifestyle of just being open to connecting one on one with individuals, it has the potential to establish this huge foundation underneath you that's going to allow you to move farther with much more confidence, much more opportunities will arise, much more autonomous opportunities as well. It's huge. This story's huge. I so appreciate it, Mark. The where it's gone so far.
This is the first time that I've ever been able to have this conversation at this necessarily slower pace.
Yeah,
So it's just kudos to you to one, be able to do it,
yeah,
two, even have the inclination
yeah,
to dive that deep and you rein me back because I'm used to being,
yeah,
either pushed or dragged forward. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I get it. And that's, when you start out doing this type of thing as a podcaster, or even creating an environment where you're having these conversations, you're always getting that feedback of it's too long. You need to shorten it up. You need to cut it back to 30 minutes. You need to only do an hour. And I'm like, you don't understand where I'm going here.
Right. They're
You
not the audience. Yeah, you're
know,
watching the wrong podcast. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, just, just wait. Just let me do my thing. Just wait. You'll get it eventually.
My wish for the conversation is that the many creatives of many ages that I run into, that they haven't, for whatever reason, got any inkling of what the thing was that made me different. It
Yeah,
wasn't the skill, it wasn't as so much as a mindset. It
right.
was a decision, a flat out decision
True.
to not allow certain things to happen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're chasing something that will ultimately, in most cases, break their heart.
For sure.
And I hate to see that because a talented person that's depressed is
Oh,
now creating the wrong kind of art.
yeah.
It's not the art that we need. Sure, a lot of people can relate to the depression.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it so many times, so often. Seen
Mm,
them, skyrocket and then burn out and then all the way to the bottom, just
yeah,
as fast as they went up to the top.
right.
Um, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Um, at this point, being in that environment, having those experiences, now being in the marketing side of things for 30 plus years ish, um, where does the decision come into play of I'm going to create this book that's going to essentially tell my story, but I'm going to do it in a little bit different way?
Because I've done everything in a little bit different way. Because if you think about it and thread back, and I know you're going to hear this, Rich,
Yeah,
is when you set out to be you, uniquely you, because you believe the universe has no spare parts, right?
yeah,
I don't think anyone comes into this world nothing. You're already something. Um, you have to do it a different way because if it's not different, it's very likely following someone else's rule book.
yeah,
And to be absolutely honest, the ability to see opportunity in changes of technology is a thread in my story. If you
yeah,
look at the early years of the tour, there was no high-speed internet.
right?
I had a realtor friend that had a dial-up modem that you literally take an old school telephone and you set it in the cradle. There's an ear hole and a mouth hole,
Yep,
and it would transmit the warbles to the dial-up, the jingle, right?
yep.
Would transmit. I stole one of those that he wasn't using. Well, he let me have it. It's more fun to say I stole it.
Sure. Borrowed it.
Yes, and a gal pal of mine during the time, her father was really cool. He's in the Coast Guard, a captain of the Coast Guard. Really super cool guy. I needed a laptop, and he said, "Here, take this laptop." Right?
Yeah.
So I'd take his Toshiba satellite and my modem and a Coleman camping stove in the back of Matilda, my van. I
Uh-huh.
can go to any payphone, and here I am in the middle of a state park in South Carolina. And I put the cradle in the thing, put on my little lantern, and I'm on the internet setting up the next gigs 30, 60, 90 miles down the road. So
Yeah.
again, there I am taking a burgeoning technology and
Right.
applying it to some in a way that no one is applying it.
Yes.
And fast forward again, 2007, I'm live streaming with a fully mixed feed, an open mic. I'm not patting myself on the back or bragging, but my mind is always looking for what is the tool within reach that can help me complete my mission,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And there is no tool that I won't consider.
Okay.
I'll consider it long enough to know whether it's a good idea,
Sure.
right? And so now let's fast forward again. It's January of 2025. You mind if I jump forward?
Go ahead.
A friend of mine, Adnan, wrote a book called The AI Culture Shift.
All right.
And I hadn't seen him in more than 10 years. And he turned me on to the book and we chatted over a Zoom meeting. And he said, "Have you heard about, these music production tools? I wrote a song for my daughter the other day. He's got a little, cute little girl." And I said, "No, no, tell me about it." So he showed me one and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's interesting." But I wasn't blown away by it. And the reason why is he didn't write the song. He admitted that. He let
Okay.
AI write it for him. But the novelty of him being able to go from zero to a finished song to give to his daughter and make her smile and
Yeah.
delight her.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here again. I'm staring at a tulip, right? I'm
Yep.
staring at a tulip. I'm going,
Yep.
here's a tool that I need to look at.
For sure.
Well, in less than 28 days, I exhaustively iterated using Suno and a couple of other tools,
Okay.
keeping track of what I did and what worked and what didn't work. And I wrote all the songs. The songs are all written 30, 40 years ago. So I
Yes.
didn't have to get crappy lyrics from AI.
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
already
Right.
really good at that.
Yep.
What I had to do is figure out my mission is these songs that I would never record myself because my voice is the wrong voice. But
Got
I'm
it.
a man without a band, and I made peace with that.
Yep.
Right? I made peace with that. I retired from the road,
Yeah.
25 years ago. But here I am staring at the tulip going, I can do it. Every song that I had written that I would never record, but I could hear in my head, I could
Right.
now produce to sound exactly like I imagined it.
Oh, fascinating.
Right. And so you mentioned the twins, the twins.
Yeah.
I started first with a country album because I felt that it was the easiest and most approachable lyrically.
Sure.
Homespun, good old boy,
Yeah.
phraseology stuff. And I'd written a lot of songs on the guitar, so you could easily make a country song out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I put the song, here's my first AI album, and I put it in order of the development of life. Young, exuberant, bad behavior, passion, chasing girls,
Yeah.
getting a job, meeting a girl, getting married, having kids. I put it all in order of the life,
Right.
all in country sounds and
Yeah.
instrumentation. And when
Yes.
I listened to this album, like, this is short form storytelling turned into long form storytelling.
Mm.
I remember my fondest albums from my sister's collection. She's 7 years older than me, were
Yeah.
albums made to be context.
Yes.
You're supposed to
Exactly.
listen to them in order, and
Yep.
it's an album. You're supposed to look at the cover.
Yeah.
Those days were gone. Well, for me, this tool brought that back.
Nice.
So the country album is done. It's called Heartlands, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. I set in to do more. I did. All right, now I'm gonna do an Americana album. Like not bluegrass, not country, but somewhere in between, which is more me.
Yeah.
And that was equally compelling. Songs that I might have done, but I was no longer, spending money and the time in recording studios.
For
That
sure.
was equally compelling. And well, now I've been bitten by the bug. I still got this folder full of songs. So I
Yeah.
go, all right, here's the challenge that I give me today. I'm going to do two albums that are the 10 same songs in the same order, but they're going to be rewritten as necessary for the genre. So I
Okay.
did pop, heartbeats, no, heartthrobs,
Okay.
like dance floor below the
Yeah.
waist, right?
Yeah.
Heartthrobs. And then the rock album is heartbeats,
Okay.
right? Same 10 songs. When you listen to them side by side, it's extraordinary because the lyrics had to change because Bon Jovi-ish is going to say it one way,
Right.
and who's a pop male singer? I can't think of one right now, but
Bruno
the
Mars.
same line, yes, Bruno Mars would say the same line with different words or different energy and different intent. And of course,
Yeah.
the instrumentation is totally different.
Yeah.
The end result for me was just so amazing because I'm a storyteller, but I'm no
Okay.
longer limited to the single 3.5 minutes. Don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Right.
And so I love listening to the collection while I don't listen to my own recordings because
Hmm.
it's like listening to the same artist over and over again.
Right.
I put these four albums on a playlist called the Artists Imagine Collection, and I
Okay.
say randomize it. It's like I'm listening to dozens of different artists,
Right.
but I wrote each and every one of the songs.
Nice.
And then I rewrote the song for the voice that I chose for that.
Nice.
There's one more level to this. Rich, you ready?
Hit me.
By now, I've started writing the novel. The character's developed. I'm not producing wildly. I'm occasionally doing a fun song for my partner Katrina or the cat just to play and be silly.
Yeah.
Well, I realized Jonas needs an album. The tool had not had the ability for me to create a uniform and consistent voice and instrumentation.
Okay.
I had to iterate wildly. I literally did sometimes 30, 40, 50 iterations of every song until I finally got it to give me what I was looking for.
Wow.
And what's challenging about that is you got to remember what you asked for.
Yeah.
It's like producing with AI musically is like a master class in communication
For sure.
because you get what you ask for. And if you get something other than what you asked for, you have to take responsibility. You don't
Yeah,
blame the AI and shake your finger at it,
exactly.
right? You take responsibility. So I wrote everything down on a spreadsheet that's filterable with keywords, and then that didn't work, that didn't work. And finally, I'm making these prompts that will reliably give me at least the same instrumentation. Well,
Yes.
then, so months go by, and I'm ready for Jonas's album. I've got the 11 songs chosen and the order chosen. He's written the songs during the book, even though they'd been written for 30 years, right?
Okay.
I
Yep.
gave him my songs. I go back to the tools that I'm using, and lo and behold, the new versions twice have been released. I can now create the Jonas Wilder persona with the instrumentation, with the vocal sound and style, and I can do the whole album that sounds like the same guy,
Got it.
which was required for this.
Yeah.
Because in the book, he gets off the road to release this album. And the fans that he'd known in his journey, they were waiting for this album. It wasn't about hype. It was about this is I'm making this for you because I couldn't have done it without any of you. So it
Right.
had to be Jonas. And lo and behold, when I went back to the tool, it was capable of that.
Nice.
It's the same exact thing as the Polaroid camera
Yep.
or the modem and the laptop. And
Yes.
yes,
And also too, to your point of the communication with the tool, right? You have to go through the process of reframing how you're saying and communicating in order for it to give you back the information that you are looking for,
exactly.
which is, I think, is a huge part of our American culture that has started to fall away from us. Part of it was because of the pandemic
Mhm.
that kind of expounded the whole situation. But it's the phone, as great as it is, the cell phone, as great as it is, it's created a lack of communication between individuals because you can easily just get lost in a world that is within a 4x6 or 3x5 essentially device. But the highlight of what you just described is the process of taking your information, expressing it to the AI, saying, "This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'd like to have." And it giving you back information. It's not what I was asking for. Now I've got to reframe it. I got to reframe it so that you're getting closer to what I'm looking for in terms of our relationship and communication between us, which it can play off in a husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, right? Teammates on a baseball team, teammates on a football team, and
Yes.
any of those, right? It
Relationship.
exactly. That's the key component to that scenario, and it all plays out through music as well. Like all those music songs that you listened to early on that were telling you this relationship is so sad and I'm depressed and it's heartbreaking, and you making the decision of no, 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 I'm writing different songs. That's not going to be my experience. Doing what you're doing with this is taking all of that, bringing it forward and presenting it in a new way of like, listen, you can start communicating differently. And here's how you can do it based on this story,
Yeah.
based on this music that I've created, based on this vibrational tone that
Yes.
gets to play out. It's amazing to me.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I hope that the audience, at any point in time, whoever listens to this episode, whoever watches this episode, can glean some of that golden flake that is in this storyline,
Mhm.
because it's there. It,
Yeah.
if we're looking back at 1940s, 1930s, when everybody's out in California sifting through a riverbed trying to get those golden
Nugget of
flakes,
gold. Yeah.
right? Hello, 2025, here it is. Here's your golden flakes.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's fantastic. With the realization of having these abilities to expand on everything that you've done up to this point from a creative standpoint. And I'm looking at this from the perspective of one of the things that as creatives we're really paying attention to with AI is what the Copyright Office is willing to accept.
Mhm.
And as it stands currently, if unless I'm missing some new information and news, is that the U.S. Copyright Office will not accept anything that's created using AI or machine iterated. But where I see that there's a component in what you're doing that still is allowing what essentially a creative would want to have in terms of intellectual property is the fact that all of those songs were already written.
Yeah, and
So
copyrighted, yeah.
So the writing of those songs is already established.
Right.
So moving forward with AI, how do you see that as being able to just expand even more so with what you're doing, but yet still have some of that protection in place that's necessary as a
Yeah.
creative and having that original piece to it, to working with AI?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I want to preface my answer with making it clear that my need for protection could
Okay.
is likely to be very different than a person who is truly trying to make a big market with whatever
Yes,
creative they're doing.
for sure.
Right. So,
Different mission.
right. I'm not that concerned about that. For me, it's the contextualness, the ecosystem of creativeness that I've created.
Yeah.
There's the early days of the writing, the early recordings, then there's the novel, then there's the album from the novel, and now there's the nonprofit that's going to breed a new generation of creators that follow the same model that Jonas Wilder and Mark Firehammer followed, which
Yes.
creating not to distract or entertain, but to awaken curiosity and stimulate thought.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I care about. Worrying about protection for me would get in the way of making that happen.
Okay.
And I've always felt that the best copyright is to release it. Record it, publish it everywhere, and if someone tries to say it's theirs, you just point to the date, and the Copyright Office will always err toward the person with the proof.
Yes.
Yeah.
Highlight moment again. Huge information. Pay attention, audience. What he just said is a key component of moving forward, especially if you don't have a whole lot of money to go through the process of creating things. That pivot, that adaptability mindset that you've had since a child, realizing that in this day and time, the best route for Mark is to just put it out there and put it out there across the board.
Yes. And I do it in a way that I make sure to spend the extra $50
Yeah.
to preserve the legacy.
Yeah.
If I die tomorrow, God forbid, and my credit card is declined because I'm no longer making money,
Right.
my albums won't go down because I paid per album a legacy payment one time
Yeah.
that as long as the internet exists, let's hope that's a long time because if it doesn't exist, we're in trouble in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We're, yes.
Trying to go backwards is going to be harder than going forward.
So yeah, the legacy is important to me. All I've ever cared about is making a difference in at least one person's life from moment to moment. And if what I've done can ripple out, like the man with his family in South Carolina and the generations of theirs are affected as well
Yeah.
by my butterfly wings. You know, I flapped my butterfly wings in
Yeah.
1999 and changed their lives. And we can all do that.
For sure. For sure. Let's talk about the nonprofit, the Creative Humanity Alliance. what was the idea for it, and what is the mission?
Yeah, the idea, it's actually born in the book. That's
Okay.
one of the clever things, I'm going to say so, about my book is that it goes from allegorical fiction in the final chapter of part 4, it goes into real life.
Okay.
Jonas releases the album in the book, but if you go online and say play Songs in the Key of Return by Jonas Wilder, there it is in real life. So
Yeah.
what's real? What is fiction? What is, right?
Yeah.
Creative Humanity Alliance is created by 4 characters at the end of the book. And the mission is inspired by what Jonas did with that album, which was create something that could remind an unsuspecting listener of something that they've forgotten, something universal, their humanity, and the
Right.
truth that we are all connected to each other, even if all you see are the differences.
Yeah.
That was why it was born. But the structure of it now is a completely democratized, multi-generational, collaborative experience where we're just getting started. We literally was born 3 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very fresh. We're going to raise as much money as we can and gather together generations of makers. We call them makers.
Yeah.
And we're going to have projects that we decide on democratically, and that everybody's going to contribute to a piece or pieces or an exhibit of pieces or a performance that accomplishes this particular awakening
Okay.
of maybe someone will get it, maybe they won't, but we're going to make it for the purpose of at least one person that sees it is going to go, oh,
Right.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
And so right now there's only 5 things in what we call the pantry, and I've created all of them.
Okay.
But they're all examples of different ways to approach creating to awaken and to inspire curiosity. And now imagine 10 people,
Right.
and then 100,
Right.
and then 1,000 in every country in the world, all
Okay.
collaborating through our platform. We're raising millions of dollars. I don't think it'll be hard at all to raise a bunch of money.
Okay.
And not only are we going to create stuff that does more than distract and entertain, but we're going to create an opportunity for creatives like myself and Jonas that wasn't interested in being famous to
Yeah.
have their creation a part of something that really matters to humanity.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to find ways for them to be compensated as well.
Okay.
Part of the big part of the vision is to raise the, $2 or $3 million per location, get real estate donated, build Alliance buildings. There'll be a performance space, black box theater, dormitories for 10 to 20 artists to do artist in residence. We pay for room and board. They work together on the project. They rehearse it and perform it. We broadcast it. We record it and distribute it online. The idea is create a whole ecosystem of creative media production that
Yeah.
is democratized and for betterment, not for just entertainment and profits.
Love that. Love that. It's so needed. So needed right now.
Mm.
Um, the remembrance of humanity,
Mm.
remembering that we are human, we are connected. We're not we're not separated by somebody's words
Right.
or somebody's description of us or um, somebody's point of view of who we are without even having a conversation to actually know who we are,
Right.
as we talked about earlier on in the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
This is amazing that this is going to be possible. And with doing this and also looking at it from the perspective of you're building in a way for it to be monetized by the creative, the person that it's helping as
Mm.
well,
Yeah.
like a revenue share
Yeah.
scenario. What is the visual blown out picture that Mark is seeing as the full spectrum finished process of what this is going to do?
I wake up every morning with big pieces of that image in my mind.
Yeah.
You can't see it, Rich, but there's a whiteboard to my left.
Okay.
And I go to bed every night I'm very, very organized. You probably figured that out.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything is not only in order, but in the right order of priority. If you're a Stephen Covey Seven Habits guy, Seven
No.
Habits of Highly Effective People,
Okay. Heard
it's
that.
about
Yes. Didn't know about
the
it.
big
Yeah.
rocks, the pebbles, and the sand. The
Okay.
big rocks are the hard things that are the most important. And I've learned to, long ago, do those things first. Write them down, put dates on them. There's the tasks and milestones spreadsheet.
Right.
Every day I finish the day working on one of those things. And I write down my thoughts on the whiteboard and I go to bed. Almost every night, 3:05, 3:15, like a clock. My eyes pop open. I come out into I call it the rolling room. It's a 9 foot round, very comfortable rug.
Yeah.
Beautiful soft lighting. I can tell Alexa to play ocean sounds, whatever I want. So the environment is creative.
Yeah.
And I bring to my awareness what was in my dream state before my eyes popped open. Because my brain is saying, I've got something for you.
Yes.
So I lay there for 5 minutes or 40 minutes, however long it takes, and I'll get up. I'm 4 steps away from that rug. I'll get up and in the wee hours write down everything on the board within the context of the big rock that I took to bed with me.
Right.
Right. So to answer your question, the big picture is as we build out the team, we need more board members,
Okay.
education background, legal background, um, uh, creative artists themselves, retired and young and old alike, all
Yes.
perspectives. That builds out the judicial and advisory board, but then there's a B level of board, which is all artists, every modality. And I can list 9 of the modalities: painting, poetry, songwriting,
Yeah.
sculpting,
Yeah.
all of it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we put the cohorts together that want to work on a specific idea
Mhm.
broadly. We say, okay, your job is to collaborate. We're going to give you the environment and the collaborative documentation.
Yeah.
We have systems that we're putting together.
Yeah.
You work together remotely. If you're in the same place, that's fine too, whatever works for you. Short term, it's going to be remote until we build one of these buildings.
Yeah.
They collaborate, the board monitors the progress, and everybody votes on whether or not they're going in the direction that the group decided to go in. They execute on whatever it is they're working on, and then we spend money to find ways to place it
Okay.
in a museum, in a Broadway show, in a television and movies, whatever. That's why
Yeah.
we need lawyers. We need people that used to be in the entertainment industry that want to volunteer for good work
Yeah.
to open some doors and find venues for this really positive content that doesn't even necessarily need to play a big featured role in a movie or a TV or documentary. It can
Yes.
just be a piece of the puzzle for some company doing good in the world.
For sure.
There's money in that. And as
Yes.
the creators, everybody is going to be legally documented as the one that created this or the group that created it.
Got it.
And you know a bit about licensing in the arts, right?
Yeah. Yes.
ASCAP, BMI,
Yep. Yep.
mechanical licensing and all that stuff. Everybody will be the creators of record and the money will flow to them automatically, with very little, if any, of the revenue from the creativity going back to the Alliance. We're going to have fundraising initiatives through grants, seeking grants. We've got a program that I'm trying to find a lawyer for right now, the legacy gifting.
Okay.
Somebody who's planning, their end of life scenario. They've got piles of money they're sitting on. Bill and Linda Gates come to mind. They plan
Okay.
on spending it all before they die. Some of it in their legacy planning, estate planning, is earmarked for the Alliance. And that money is all put into accounts, and all that has already been set up so that if someone decides, I only want my money to go toward building the Alliance centers,
Hmm.
which is we need at least 3 million for 15,000 square foot building with all the amenities that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's assuming the land is donated by somebody,
Okay.
just like a lifetime lease for $1.
Sure.
So that's the vision is to gather the teams together, get the money flowing, get the ideas flowing, get the creatives creating, and then the team at the top of the organization will be working on placement of the things, and then the money will just flow naturally to those who deserve it.
Nice.
I know it's a big picture that might make your head spin a little bit.
No, it ain't making my head spin.
Good.
It's making my head go. All right, I
Yes.
know what this is going to be. And this is going to be. Um, Maybe for the audience, but what I would like to maybe just reframe it for them is it's an opportunity to be a part of a creative endeavor that is going to be human centric, artist centric, and with the intent of doing good and being heart centered as well. And making sure that at each point, at each touch point, and each avenue that the organization lands on, it's going to be with the full intention of doing something good within that area and that environment. And to be a part of that is a bigger part of a human experience, I believe. And
Imagine
especially,
the relationships. Just
oh, yeah,
imagine,
yeah,
right?
exactly. It's phenomenal. And this is what I believe that art, creativity, all forms of it, has the capacity to do for the human environment is to completely change it, to shift mindsets, to shift hearts, to release and let go of depressive, anxiety ridden states within us and create a new form of healing that just wraps around the earth over and over.
Yeah. Right on. I like the way you said it better.
Thank you. Thank you. But all the meat and potatoes is right there with you in the way that it is. This has been an amazing conversation, Mark. I
I
truly
agree.
appreciate you being here,
Yeah.
sharing your story, sharing your journey, um, allowing me to highlight different things for the audience. Um, One of the things that I always want to remind the audience of at each end of each one of these episodes is to listen to your heart, but also be kind to your mind.
Yes.